Indian chess has a new flag bearer. R Vaishali has done what very few manage: held her nerve, trusted her preparation, and walked through one of the toughest fields in world chess to win the women's candidates tournament. A final round victory over Katerina Lagno, played with stunning precision in a razor sharp Sicilian, sealed her place in history and set up a world championship clash. But beyond the moves and the margins, there is also a story of years of hard work, of a family that has built two grandmasters under one roof, and of a player who has grown into this moment. And to help us understand the journey better, someone who has shared the board with her, seen that evolution up close, Tania Sachdev joins us. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've been well. But you've actually played alongside Vaishali and seen her up close over the years. When you watched that final round, what stood out to you and how are you feeling?
Thanks so much, Gargi. Well, the candidates was a 2-week long journey, and been following it, commentating on it pretty much from the very first round. Vaishali, I have known her for many, many years. We've been part of the Indian women team both times when you won the bronze and the gold, and we've spent a lot of time during training camps. And this is an incredibly special moment, I want to say, because I have truly felt over the last 2 weeks watching her play every single game, commentating, calling the action on it, that how what I've known her off-board personality to actually translate into what she showed us. Because I think it's incredibly special, the performance. But for me, what has been really amazing to watch during the candidates has been the deeper storyline. This is not a story of a player who was a front runner from round one. It's not a story where, you are running away with the tournament. Vaishali's performance at the candidates is one of absolute resilience and overcoming setbacks and being an absolute fighter. And to watch that unfold for me personally was the most amazing aspect of her performance in Cyprus.
Absolutely, and she did mention after one of those losses that everything opened up. And as a player, how do sometimes how do losses free you up rather than weigh you down? I think that must have been something that catapulted Vaishali and motivated to go even harder.
Well, it's the biggest stage, right? So you come in with a certain amount of pressure and expectations on yourself. And perhaps having a slower start, somewhere you realize that there's no point taking that pressure. You sort of block out the noise automatically around you and just start playing a little bit more freely. Coming to the point that I was making, Vaishali started the candidates with 4 draws and a loss. She was at the bottom of the leaderboard going into round 6. And then showing her mental fortitude, her resilience, round by round, climbing back onto the standings. Over the next 6 games, she had 4 wins and 2 draws. By round 11, she had a huge win against the reigning world rapid champion, which took her to a 1-point lead by the end of that round. And nobody could have foreseen that after the first 5 rounds. So again, coming back to the storyline of Vaishali showing this incredible ability to bounce back after a very difficult start and to go onto a streak was the most impressive part of her run. And I think absolutely somewhere feeling that, all right, well, things have gone wrong now. I have no pressure on myself. I just go and play my heart out is perhaps what helped her along the journey. And I think watching it, for me, the hinge point of the tournament came in her round 11 victory against Goryachkina, because winning that, getting that 1-point lead in, suddenly Vaishali's name was on everyone's mind and everyone's lips. She was the woman to beat at the candidates out of nowhere.
And talk to me about that game against Lagno, because especially in the Sicilian Dragon, was incredibly precise. And how difficult is it to maintain that level of accuracy in a must-win situation, especially after the rock and roll start that she had to the tournament?
It truly was a rock and roll start and a rock and roll entire event, a complete roller coaster, because even after taking the lead from Goryachkina, she had to deal with one more setback. She went on to lose to the world number 2 in the next round, and suddenly she wasn't in the sole lead, but was in the mix at the top. And then you have only 2 games remaining. And then Vaishali did what Vaishali does best, which is reset herself, which is kind of deal with the pressure and use it to sort of fuel herself forward. She, game 13, she kind of stopped the bleeding, just balanced herself out, and then going into that final round against Katerina Lagno, where she's on co-lead with Bibisara Asubaeva, her fate in her own hands, that was an absolute clutch performance. When it mattered, Vaishali delivered that day with the white pieces. She definitely came out all guns blazing with her opening preparation, managed to get an advantage out of the opening, and then in still a complex battle where Katrina Lagno, one of the most resilient, resourceful players, extremely tricky, setting up those traps and trying to get those counterplay, but Vaishali essentially never allowed her back into the game in that. A very controlled performance in that, finished it off in great style at the end of it, start to finish that game, high accuracy. And I think that clutch win was just sort of the ribbon on the whole story. But for me, it's not just about her game against Katrina. I think the whole storyline from start to finish has been what movies are made of. Sort of from the bottom to the top.
Absolutely. And because you keep talking about the storyline, where does this, in the bigger picture, place her in the current global chess landscape? Do you think she's already among the elite, or is this just the beginning for Vaishali?
Well, she's been at the elite stage for a couple of years now, where Shali has, whether it's been her performances at the Olympiad, winning the Grand Swiss, the way she did it as well, and even last Toronto candidates. Gargi, she started the tournament with 4 losses and went on a back-to-back 5-game winning streak. She only stopped because the tournament stopped. So and she finished joint second by the end of it. So Vaishali has these roller coaster, I feel, tournaments. It's an absolute pleasure to watch her. Definitely, I would say the defining moment of her career, winning the candidates. It is the final stepping stone before the ultimate dream of fighting for the world championship. The big question ahead of her will be, how does she deal with that? Will she be able to sustain her level, her composure, this fighting spirit that she has, the courage that she has when she's in a match format? And I'll tell you one thing, she is facing a lethal opponent. Ju Wenjun has not been dethroned since 2018. She's got 5 world titles under her belt. So with Vaishali, that will be the ultimate test. But I think it's also, Vaishali's story at the candidates is also sort of bigger from a personal perspective as well. Because somewhere from being one half of the golden siblings of Indian chess, sometimes also being, I know Vaishali and Prague and just their equation that they have is so incredibly strong as siblings. But somewhere, because of Prague's own incredible performances, there was a bit of shadowing. And I think with this big statement of winning the candidates, Vaishali has drawn the conversation back to herself, where she's saying, my game, my identity, my story, this is it, and just sort of bringing the attention back to her story at the biggest stage in women chess. So I'm very excited to see what happens when she plays the World Championship. It's not only a career defining moment for her, but for Indian women chess as a whole. Gargi, we had 2011 was the last time we had Humpy play and fight for the title against Hu Yufan. We lost that match. After that, after 15 years, Vaishali will go and do it and try to do the same, try to win that crown. And she's the first Indian women player to win the candidates. When Humpy qualified, it was a slightly different format. She went through the Grand Prix. So it's an incredibly powerful moment. And I also want to add that, it goes beyond the headlines. It goes beyond the headlines in a way that it creates a belief system in the Indian chess ecosystem. When you've got representation, when you've got Vaishali playing at the top, that changes the shape of ambition at grassroots level. So I can only imagine the kind of impact this is going to have on the newer generation, because they see Vaishali fighting it out for the World Championship at 24, and you believe that it's possible as a little girl taking on chess.
Absolutely. It'll be the ultimate, mark of ambition for a lot of young girls who will, possibly open their newspapers and read about Vaishali winning the candidates, maybe go on their phone. So it's going to change a lot. But when we talk about Vaishali and the World Championships, what will be the biggest challenge here against someone as experienced as Ju?
World Championship matches are so incredibly unique. It is a match format, firstly. So for Vaishali, she has a brilliant team, and there's no doubt of that, whether it's working at Vaka and having Ramesh with her, having her brother around her, and of course, Nagalakshmi ji, her parents, her support system is fantastic. I think that's going to play a very big role. they have the answer to that question far better than I would, what is needed. And I think so far they've done a brilliant job. The one thing that we have seen about the World Championship has been about nerves. And coming back to this ability that Vaishali showed at the candidates, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, the resilience, that what happened at the candidates, to me, I look at it as a World Championship level skill. It is such a valuable asset to have when you're going on a 1v1 match situation, a match format. It's lonely in there, your nerves, your emotions at the biggest stage. I think for Vaishali, so much work will be required in terms of psychology, the mind work, what she goes in with. And I think everything that we saw at the candidates was incredible to watch unfold, because it feels like she's on the right path.
And I want to ask you something on a more personal level. You've competed, you've commented, and you've watched this generation grow. Where does this moment rank for you personally, seeing someone like Vaishali reach this stage?
It's really incredible. I think having my own journey in the chess world, like I said, it genuinely changes the Indian chess ecosystem at the grassroots level to have a player play in the World Championship. There is an entire boom that happens. And, having played in the Indian team since 2008, up until the 16 years with the whole journey of the Chess Olympics, of individual tournaments, we have of course had a lot of strong women players. We've had Indian women chess icons, and every addition to that, every breakthrough on that just adds to the culture, adds to the ecosystem, adds to the power of what this sport means to the young generation. So I think what really stands out is just seeing that, while I myself have been part of it and have seen how the Indian women chess has grown, becoming younger and younger now, we've got so much talent, but often the conversation has been about the open team, and rightfully so. They've had incredible performances, incredible run. And I think this is what is special about this generation, that whether it's women player or men players, they're kind of inspired by each other. So sort of to see that happen in women chess now does feel incredibly special. And I truly do believe that this is going to go a long way in motivating and encouraging young girls to believe in themselves when it comes to chess and to take up the sport. So, as a player first and then as a commentator, it's extremely satisfying to see how much chess has grown. And when parents come and say that you have played a role in that, and I have no doubt that this win of the candidates is going to again bring that chess boom in, just the way the chess Olympics did, whether it was the bronze medal in 22 or the gold in Budapest.
And finally, I'm going to put you on a spot a little bit. Would you say Vaishali goes in as a genuine threat in the World Championship, or is she still the underdog?
I would say that definitely Ju Wenjun, who's been at the top, who has been extremely consistent, knows what it takes, what match play is about, incredible experience, has been one of the top female players for more than a decade now, 5 World Championship title. I think it's easy to say that Wenjun will be a favorite in that match.
Yeah.
And especially in the World Championship, experience counts so much. But the thing is, one thing we've all learned is that you cannot underestimate the hunger and the desire of the youth. And how one of the most incredible abilities that the younger generation has is that they don't let big names live rent-free in their heads.
Yeah.
They don't have that thought process. Sure, you might feel that a player is incredibly strong. You've analyzed their game. You might even have grown up seeing them. But over the board, I think the younger generation truly sees themselves as rivals. They have that self-confidence and self-belief. Let's not forget, for Gukesh, it was also his first time at the World Championship. So it's a match where I would say, yes, Ju Wenjun, an absolute legend of the game. I don't think anyone can say that she's not a favorite. But again, what the younger generation is capable of today, I don't think we've ever seen that happen before.
I think that's a great take. and a much more balanced take. But thank you so much, Tania, for joining us. It's always wonderful talking to you and getting your insights on whatever's going on in the chess world. I will be waiting to get you back once again when we see Vaishali in the World Championship. So thank you, and thank you so much for joining us.